Hello, Mom's Night Out. In.
All right, do we want to let everybody in?
Yep, it's time.
Hold on, I have a message on my phone.
You can't do anything. Just
All right.
ignore
Okay,
Just like
admit.
it. Put it on Do Not Disturb.
It's on the front.
We're good?
We're good. Admit.
All right.
Yes, here they come. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
It's like
Want to see it?
ow, yeah.
Everybody. Need like a DJ playing right now.
Hi, everyone.
Everyone.
Hi guys.
Hey.
So nice to see everyone.
Hello.
Hey, good.
I'm Merhnaz.
Hi, guys. Sorry. I wanted to say hi to people.
Yeah, say hi.
So I took myself off the other angle and put it on this angle.
Oh, Tina. Oh,
Where's my Tina?
This is Sophia.
hi, Sophia.
Hi, Charlotte. Guys, my daughter's joining us.
Hi.
My goodness. She's lovely.
Thank you.
Oh,
She's here for the ladies' night out.
yeah. No, I get it. It's never too early for a glass of wine.
Yes.
Here's my cocktail.
Here's my cocktail. We have 100 people joining us tonight.
Tina, I don't see you. Where's Sophia? Nazi, you made it. Can everybody unmute themselves or no?
Mute yourself and say hi.
Say hi, guys. This is a social event. This is
guys.
not a lecture.
Hi.
Hi,
Merhnaz.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Hi, Merhnaz.
Hello. How are you?
Good. We made it. It's late, but we made it.
I know. One of these days, with all the things that we're doing, we're gonna actually hug and like say hi in person.
That will be lovely.
Amen. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Merhnaz. How are you?
I'm well, guys. This is really exciting. I have so many people here. I better deliver.
Absolutely.
You will deliver,
You people
baby.
trust me.
Hi, guys. Hey, Tara.
Hi, Nazi.
Hi, honey.
Nazi, I haven't seen you forever.
Terry,
How are you guys?
Hi, Merhnaz.
Good to see you.
Good to see everyone.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
So nice to be here.
Hey, Jen.
Guys, this is pretty fabulous, I must say. Thank you all for coming. Wow.
Here, Mom. This
Are we
was
in
the
a
cup.
Merhnaz?
No, it's yours. It had cranberry juice in it.
That's not mine now.
Wait, Mommy, we're not me.
All right, we're at about half of those present who RSVP'd. So why don't we get started? Ellie and Ambita, you want to unmute yourselves?
Welcome, everyone. We're so excited to have you all. And so, muted by accident, sorry. So we're so happy to have you all here. And it's very exciting. We had so many responses to Merhnaz event tonight. It's like a pretty much sold out event, if you should say it can be sold out. This is the first of our Mom's Night series. We will be continuing the series, usually probably one a month. Our next one is going to be with our own Helen Javahari. She's going to be giving us makeup tips. And it's going to be in January, which is right before the annual event. Hint, hint. So you guys can watch her series and then you can come to the annual event. And in February, we're going to be having our own Jen Galperson. She's going to be doing skincare tips. So that's another exciting one. And of course, you guys already know the Mel's Drive-In series that we've launched with a whole bunch of different movies, 6 different movies that you guys can pick out from. The first one, which is Home Alone, is already sold out, but there's 5 others. So if you guys are interested, please go online and join us. And now I'm going to hand it over to Eliane to introduce Merhnaz.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're so excited to see all of you. We kind of decided, we used to do Mom's Night Out. And we decided to start the Mom's Night In series since we're stuck at home. And who better to kick it off than our very own Merhnaz Javid. She's a mom at SAA and also a really devoted volunteer who puts so much into the school. And I think we know her best from the events that we've been at school that look fabulous and amazing. And you walk in and your jaw drops. Merhnaz started her career in special events planning and then went to build her own firm in both special events planning and interior design. She has done homes and events all over Southern California. Merhnaz, I have seen your work at school. It's exceptional. And I know moms FaceTime you all the time last minute when they're having their events, asking you, what do I do? What should I put here? How can I make it look better? So we are really excited to all be here and watch you tonight. And we have over 100 people that registered, which is a true testament to your work. So it's all yours.
It's muted, Merhnaz. There you go.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you so much all for coming and for entrusting me in our special event tonight, our very first Mom's Night In. I'm really excited. I'm giddy because I think it's kind of comical. I've never really taught this kind of stuff. I've never taught anything, but I do design and I do table design, I do event design and interior design, but I've never really taught it. So somewhat I'm going to wing it, and hopefully you guys will enjoy everything that you see. Again, thank you for coming. I have my cocktail. Cheers, everybody. Take a sip. So, I mean, basically, I'm going to start by saying that, yes, I do this for events, and I kind of do my thing, and anybody who knows me, who has seen me do a setup, I kind of go into my zone, and I ignore everyone around me, and I do my thing. So it's kind of funny to actually be talking everyone through it. But I'm going to talk about a few of the things that I like to use and I like to always have on hand. I tend to, as I'm shopping for clients for homes, I tend to look for little things even that I may like. I love amazing trays. I love amazing baskets, different size woods, different shapes, different colors, large, small. I love to stack things. Again, anybody who has been to my home or has worked with me knows I'm obsessed with coffee table books. So I tend to use a lot of those in creating elevation and creating height variation. I'm very big, even if it's a small kind of scale cheese board, I still like to have depth. I don't like things that are very flat. I like to have variation in height and texture. So you're gonna see, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the different things that I've set up here, that I'm going to incorporate. Then we're going to move on to the other side of the table where I'm going to actually do the layout. I don't have any food, sadly. This is virtual. If it were a real live thing, we would host a beautiful party. We would have drinks together. You would kind of watch this being set up, and then we would enjoy the food. So for now, we're gonna do it this way, and hopefully next year we'll all be together and we can do it again. So let's start by talking about wood boards. Here is my granddaddy, the big board that I love. And I'm gonna just say this, if you have any questions, jot them down. If it's something that's pertinent, just chat it to Lisa and Elian, and they will kind of stop me and ask the question. If not, we'll do a kind of like a Q&A at the end. But I do love boards, so that's my big guy. And then here you're gonna see, I love texture and I love different materials. So I pulled two kind of different pieces of stone that literally, I think this one my kids found on the beach. You know, wash it, clean it, have it. And you'll see later on how I layer it, because I really love to layer. Again, different types of woods, different sizes, different shapes. I love that shape. Flowers are obviously a great add-on to any table, but I also just love the simplicity of greens. These are greens that I have in my garden, just cut up. This is one of my favorite vases. And the kind of the top end comes in and out, which allows the leaves to look really pretty. I don't have any water in the vase, I just kind of stuck them in right now. But I really love adding greens to the table. I think it adds a lot of color and depth and dimension. So then something I've done before, I did a table spread, which you guys saw in the invite. If you go back and look at that, I bought mini little plants of herbs, basil, this is rosemary, mint, and what I did is I have this little jar, and we'll talk about mason jars. I love mason jars, different sizes and shapes. This is a mason jar from Good Old Creations that I saved, and what I'll do is, something else that I love, is having parchment paper. So these are great, you can order them on Amazon, little sheets of parchment paper so you don't have to rip it. We use them for school all the time. So just kind of create a little area. You could use a planter. I also love different elements of stone planters, but here we could use the mason jar, stick the paper in here, and then stick the plant in here. And if you're gonna see in that picture, and we'll share some images later, where I did this on the other table, and you just stick them in here, and it just kind of gives you a little nice feel. You hide the little ugly plant, you know, plant the container that it comes in, and now you've got yourself a cute little plant. Okay, and we'll add that later. So tonight I only have this, but if, again, in the images that we're gonna go through, I had a few. I had probably 2 rosemary, 2 basil, and 2 mint. Mason jars. This is a cute little guy that I use for olive spread, little dips, things like that. Cute little guy that I love. Other size mason jars are these, kind of medium size. Again, great for putting in little, you know, vegetables, or putting in, if you kind of entertaining for a big group of people, you can put your spreads or your dips in this. If you're doing something small scale, you can use your dips, put your dips in here. Okay, you guys are gonna laugh, but this is a candle holder that I'm blanking out on the name of the candle, Nest. So if you do have any Nest candles, great to use if you have a few of them. They're amazing to kind of work in, and I think it kind of balances out the wood, creates a little nice element with the stripe factor. So just, you know, another creative way to use the Nest jars rather than just the candles. I love glass, different types of glass. I mean, this is your kind of your ordinary little flower vase, but again, I think it adds this exact size that you're looking for sometimes to put vegetables in. And so you could do like 4 of these on a table, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 the same size, and you could do 1 carrot, 1 tomatoes, 1 cucumbers, and 1 bell peppers. So I love these little guys, and I have them in so many different sizes, depending on the size of your event. These are just like whiskey glasses, but again, I love to use them for dips or olives or little cheese crisps, things like that. So I'll work those in, and then these are mini little glass
Merhnaz,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. People are asking to zoom in closer to you right now because of what you're doing. Is it possible to get Jacob to zoom the camera in a little bit closer?
We can try. I don't want it to be shaky, but we can. I can also move if that's helpful. Lisa?
Let me see what Jacob can do first for a second.
Sorry, guys. Again, I don't do this daily. Can you
There
see?
you go. Perfect.
Is that better? Okay. So these are little glasses that I love. I use for my kids, but I think they're just such a cute little size. And if you kind of add them onto any sort of cheese board. So I love different size glasses, basically, whether they're mason jars or actually drinking glasses. And I love color glass. I don't have any color glasses here, but I have, and I love the use of different colors to bring into the table. Okay, baskets and different, again, another element to add. I love to kind of tilt something on its side. Let's say you're doing a brunch, tilting the basket on its side and letting, let's say you're doing breads or bagels, kind of cascading out of the basket. Again, you can use parchment paper to line the table underneath. I've used boxes before. Even this guy, the way I have it set up now, I can tilt it on its side and have things kind of coming out of it. You could do the same thing with even a flower vase that, again, like a square little glass vase, square, that you tilt on its side and have things kind of coming out. You could potentially put these on a book. Again, I'm obsessed with books. And imagine if bread was coming out of this and falling onto the table. And that's where the parchment paper comes in. It kind of helps keep things clean and neat. So, what else? Different elements, small little metal bowls. Again, different kinds of jars with little handles, things like that. And then if you want to do more high-end pieces, I have these kind of Michael Laurent pieces that I love, and I'll you'll see on top of the wood boards to give kind of like separation, and this gives variation in heights and kind of makes things a little bit more interesting. Again, more glass, different size, different shape, it helps. And then I kind of, depending on the party that I'm doing, if it's a brunch, maybe you want to do bottles of, rosé. If you're doing a nighttime kind of party where you want to show different bottles of champagne, if you're doing kind of like an Italian theme, you might want to do like olive oils and bottles of olive oil and balsamic vinegar and things like that. So just different bottles. And then I also love, sometimes it's fun, like I did a Thanksgiving party last year where I set up the table and I had different signs. This one says gather and gives thanks. So it's fun to use different signs sometimes. Okay. Does anybody have any questions right now? Because we're gonna move on to the other side of the table and I'm gonna do kind of a mock setup of, what I wanna show you.
Yes, where do you store everything?
So I'm lucky enough to have a lot of storage in my garage. Some things I display. For example, my books I use all over. This I have it on an entry piece in my house. I have a ton of candles, a ton of vases. So in my garage, I have a lot of storage. So I'm lucky. But some things I have on display on a daily basis. Like this sits on my island countertop and I like to use it every day. This little bin right here, I'm using it on its side right now to give kind of height and variation, but daily it's in my pantry and I have kids' bags of anybody again who knows me knows I'm very rigid and I like things perfectly clean and neat. So I have all the, bags of pirate booty or bags of pretzels kind of lined up into this. I've also used this guy on a table if I'm entertaining outside with drinks inside of it. So some things I kind of use, some things I have on display in my home, and some things that I just kind of store away. I don't know if that helps.
Does a cascading setup make refills more challenging?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You have to replenish the food on the table. In a cascading setup, does it make that more challenging?
So yes, and if you don't have, you know, if you have help, if you have somebody kind of managing the table, and in my situation, I am pretty rigid, so I like to manage it myself. So I kind of move things closer together as the day or night or the event continues, and I tend to kind of keep recreating the table, if you may. So it can, again, it depends on the scale of the event that you're hosting. But I think that kind of goes with any setup. But you also can just take things away, and you'll see if you have pretty things under and the layering is pretty, then you don't necessarily have to replenish. You just kind of condense, and then, you know, now you're left with, let's say all these are gone that you started with, but you're left with pretty books, and it's still, you know, beautiful. And then you might move this forward, let's say, you may move this forward and take these boards away. So it's a little bit of kind of moving things around quickly without people noticing. Again, it depends on the size of the event.
Brilliant. Where do you buy all of these wonderful accessories?
So like I said, I'm always searching and looking for decorative items. But you know, there's plenty of things you can find at the 99-cent store. You can find, I think that sign came from the 99-cent store. These little guys, I'm sure, like, who knows? I think I went to a birthday party for one of my kids and they had put like candy in it. I don't remember, but things like that. I mean, just, it doesn't have to be expensive. Amazon, Target, like I said, I think one of these, I can't remember which, came from the beach. One of the kids came home with it. I like to entertain and I like little things, so I tend to collect. But if you're looking to kind of stock up, Target, Amazon, like I said, 99-cent store. Anywhere, Jakey had an idea.
IKEA.
IKEA.
Moms that haven't done this before,
You know, like I said, this was a, you know, this is a Nest candle. Just kind of keep an eye on things that could potentially be used on a table. Again, books, boxes, vases. I kind of, you know, so one thing, I don't have any food out other than the champagne and the wine, but okay, so this is a jar of olives from Trader Joe's, but it's a very pretty jar. And some jars are worth keeping. So this one is a very beautiful jar, and I think even if unopened, it just adds a lot of like charm to the table. If you're doing kind of like a brunch or an Italian theme, obviously take the top off, wash this off, but it's a very pretty bottle with kind of like a nice shape and detail. Like that's something I'd probably keep. I wouldn't throw that away because I like its shape, which same goes for the, you know, that Creations jar, mason jar. I like the fact that it's round versus all my other mason jars like that are that size were the square. So then I came across these, and then you can kind of have the variation between the square and the round. And if you're doing 4, you can alternate.
Merhnaz, what do you use for serving pieces? Tongs, spoons?
Right, I realized I didn't grab any of those. Tongs are great. Tongs are great. Little cute mini spoons when you're using something this size, like almost like baby spoons, teaspoons. I don't like huge spoons. Tongs or spoons. If you're serving salad, you want to have maybe like, you know, depending on what you're serving, if you are having pasta and you need a fork, but that can vary. Anything else?
Yeah, Merhnaz, I would say for the moms that maybe want to start doing this, haven't done it before, might feel like a little overwhelmed. What are the key pieces they should start with? Like, what are the main things you would say, start with this and go and get some of these items if you want to do a beautiful spread?
Okay. So I think have a couple of great cheese boards, or not cheese boards, just boards, wood boards, different sizes. And this is actually, these are from Trader Joe's. Like I said, I always kind of have an eye out for things, and this was, there, maybe like 2 years ago, Trader Joe's was selling these and along with little wood bowls. So these were great. So having a couple of different boards, these are just like long and narrow, they're very usable. This one was also from Trader Joe's. So I would say having maybe, if you're not gonna do huge spreads, if you're doing something intimate, I still would do something probably as big as this. You don't need, again, if it's something intimate, that's probably as big as I would go. If you're doing something slightly larger, 20, 30 people, then I think this is probably a good thing to have. And you'll see what I will do is, even if I were to use this, I like to stack things to give height. So I use this along with my smaller ones stacked on top of each other to give height. So yes, it can be overwhelming and I totally get it. But if you're kind of just wanting to play around, a few good boards, whatever shape, whatever, again, this is a good size. So maybe like around approximately 15 inches by 30 inches, give and take, is a good size. These are great, like wood bowls that are large scale, but mason jars, again, going back to things that I actually do love, glass little mason jars. You don't need to buy anything. You can use your daily glasses that your husband, use for whiskey. You can use, beautiful, like, this is more of a crystal that I'm drinking out of, but glasses kind of come into play, and you could use those for anything. You could take a glass such as this and do breadsticks. You can, if I'm doing a bar setup on a beautiful tray, I'll use this and I'll put fresh mint or fresh basil or even fresh, blueberries and such to mix cocktails. So your everyday glasses, if you have clean, simple glasses, can really be used for anything. They don't need to be used for drinking. You can use them for, almonds and olives and things like that. I do love, again, mason jars, a little different, different variation sizes. These little guys, Amazon, they're teeny tiny and they're very cute and they'll look good on any kind of board, any size, because now you have a little bit of height and different, some things can't be put on the board itself. But I also like when we talk about cascading is if you did have a bigger board than this, so, and you had almonds kind of coming out, but kind of overflowing, if you may, onto the board. And that kind of sometimes looks pretty. So we can play around with that. Did I answer the question?
Are there any other items that you keep on hand aside from parchment paper? Any other things that we should have in stock at all times?
In stock at all times. Parchment paper for sure, boards, glasses, different shapes, different sizes. We talked about this. These I got at the holiday boutique from one of the vendors one time. They're my kids' little snack bowls, but I love them. My husband says they're kind of like military style, but I think they're really cute. And it's a nice contrast against the wood. Sometimes you have things, in your home that you use daily that you could actually pull onto these things. I don't know, I think anything you can use, as long as there's kind of consistency and there's variation. I think that's the key. I like to have, in everything that I do, whether it's a simple table or, more complex table or a house design, I love to have variation in texture, variation in color, variation in materials. I think that's kind of what makes it more interesting. So that
go to some photographs to show us what you mean by that?
Photographs to show what?
You want to go to the photographs that we have to show what you're talking about, the difference in texture and variation.
We can. Jason, do you want to show those images from, I did an event right before shutdown. And I did a spread, which you guys saw on the invite. And so you'll see a lot of the things that I used here. You know, you'll see the wine bottles, the baskets. Obviously the food itself adds a lot of texture and variation, but I tend to, even in my shopping, kind of pick and choose things that will work and complement each other. So in the image, you're gonna see there's a lot of just like natural colors, lots of browns, the chocolates, the breads, the greens. Again, you know, I think that all kind of adds a lot of depth and interest. But what I can do is also kind of walk through, which is what I want to do, is walk through kind of pulling these things onto an actual setup. And it doesn't have to be so huge. And I may not use everything because I think, you know, certainly we're not at a point in our lives where with everything going on that we're entertaining a lot, but this is also looking into the future and hoping that we're going to entertain a lot, but we don't have to do quite a spread. But I would love to kind of do a mock-up and use the things that I have shown here and how to really set it up and talk about adding the height and adding depth and dimension. So with the images that Jason is showing are different angles of that particular spread. So there were cheeses and breads and vegetables and fruits, a couple of salads. It was a daytime event. And, you know, again, you're going to see a lot of the things that I've shown here on that table. The wood, yeah.
Know how much food to put out based on the amount of people you're entertaining for? Do you have a rubric about that?
Honestly, I just experienced, not at all. I mean, I plan events and I design events, but I don't necessarily, I'm not a caterer. And I would say the biggest one that I've done in terms of actually setting up and buying the food myself, Dahlia over here, was the grandparents' day that, you know, she and I did for Akiba right before shutdown. And, you know, certainly I'm not a caterer. I'll design a table and I'll design an entire room, but to actually buy food and things like that, I mean, that was a huge event. And somehow we got it right. We had some things that we kind of miscalculated. I think it's more experience. I kind of buy, sometimes I tend to buy more than I need probably. If I need to buy only one bag, I tend to buy 2 bags, let's say, of a certain type of vegetable, but it's more kind of trial and error, I would say. Lisa?
I have no more questions.
No more questions?
Not right now.
Okay, so does everybody want to kind of, let's move back a little bit, Jake. My fabulous nephew is helping me. Yeah. Does everybody have their cocktail and cooking? I think we should unmute everybody and I want to hear everyone's energy. I'm feeling a little bit claustrophobic.
We're not. I do have one more question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
How far in advance do you plan?
And then move back a little bit to the archway.
You hear me? Merhnaz.
Sorry. Can you repeat that?
How far in advance do you plan for an event?
I'm also, I mean, it's kind of hard. I think I'm a little bit abnormal. I have it in my head. I kind of think about, you know, oh, I want to bring in greens and I want to bring in bottles of wine or bottles or depending on the theme. I could probably do it the day before, but that's, I think, not a typical person. But I also have been doing this. This is my passion. This is my thing. So it's hard to answer that question. I've been planning events for years. I've been designing for years. So it's a little bit hard to answer that because I could do it, as some say, in my sleep, but that's a hard question to answer, sorry.
It's true. I mean, we all have our own, you know, clock as what we're comfortable doing and preparing for any kind of dinner party or event that we're throwing. So I think everybody has to use their own individual judgment of really what we're.
But I do, listen, even having said that, I do, if I know I'm hosting something, I kind of brainstorm and think in my own mind. I make notes, I certainly make a list of what I'm serving. I make a list of the things that I'm gonna put out so I don't forget anything. I may make that list after I shop. But I have my list and I have the things that I pull. I absolutely set up the day before because it does take time to just even gather everything and set it up and kind of, what am I missing? Do I want to add more flowers or do I want to add more greens or is there something that I'm missing that I forgot about? So I'm big on making my list and kind of preparing, but it's not like weeks in advance, if that makes sense. Yeah? Hello?
If anybody has a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask her directly.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we, Lisa?
Hold on, they can't unmute.
Oh, now we can.
Yeah, you should be able to.
We can unmute.
You're unmuted.
I'm gonna come on that side of the table.
Mayrav, I think you had a question. I think you can unmute yourself.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just, I wanted to see you in action. I know that's the next part, so I just wanted to
Yeah.
see.
You ready?
Yeah.
We're ready.
We're all ready.
So, okay, again, I'm gonna preface by saying that my dining room table is enormous. It's a 9-foot diameter, which I know is not the norm. Which is why I kind of felt, okay, this area I kind of set up, but I'm gonna do a setup on the other side of the table and really utilize only a small portion of the table. So disregard the fact that this is huge, but I'm going to kind of imagine if this were a little bit of like a standard, almost like 6-foot, 7-foot table, rectangular, or even a smaller diameter table. I'm gonna come around, so bear with me. So again, my favorite place. I'm just going to move things from that side to this side. And I think what you want to do is, again, create height and dimension. So I love to stack books and I love to put things just on top of the book to create a barrier. I just want to make sure that this camera is at the right place, yeah? Okay. I'm kind of gonna walk through, but I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna try to explain my kind of thought process. So I like to do the things that are gonna be higher and the things that are gonna be larger first. So here I created height with the greens and the books. I'm going to use my big board that I have. I'm going to kind of divide the table into maybe angle it a little bit to create that kind of area. Here is my absolute favorite tray. Like I said, I love large trays and they're hard to come by. But we can create a little area, divide it, and again, the texture, the wood and the metal. I'm gonna move these over to create, because I want to create more of a smaller space. Sorry, I'm doing this kind of not back, not reverse. So just to kind of create line, symmetry, again, variation in height to create an area that we're going to use as a display. And I'm going to stick to a smaller area rather than utilizing the entire table, because like I said, my table is pretty large. So here's the wood, the metal, books, greens, glass, all of our elements. Okay. Then, like I said, I like to use different shapes of wood, different heights. And I kind of like to use these boards. So I kind of play around with it. I'll just stack these. a little bit messy, just to kind of keep, and I may just put this down this way and this way. And then when you put your food, you have this natural variation of height. And things may fall on the side, and things will fall on this side. What I didn't do, and you may want to do, is put parchment paper down first, but I'm not serving any food, so I didn't. These, you know, of course, are washed, so they're usable, but I use these different boards to kind of create a natural little variation in the way that it falls and in height. Let's see. Then I'll start adding in different kind of elements. So these little stone pieces that I love, I'll just drop them in different areas where I feel like it needs kind of balance. So we'll just kind of stick one here. I also like, one thing I will say, if you are doing a spread on a table, I like to let the table show a little bit. I don't want to fill up the entire table. So we want to have a little bit of negative space, or even on the cheese board itself, I like the food to be very close together and not have any space left between the food, and we can go back to the images in a little bit. But I do like a little bit of the wood to show, because I think that adds a nice element. So I'll use this here, again, a little, not so flat, but I like to kind of tilt things. I may play with that a little bit, but you have the balance of stone and stone, wood, glass, books, and then just keep adding. You have height, and depending on what you're doing, let's say your table is rectangular and straight, you have this height here, and this is when I would add a couple of bottles. You know, if we're going to show like champagne bottles or wine bottles, you know, one thing to kind of remember is you do want to be a little bit rigid and have everything, any sort of wording kind of face forward, like that. And then I'll balance this out on the other side. Again, I may not use everything that I'm showing here, but I may do this. So here's one thing that I love to do. If you have two things that are the same size, you know, one can be a little bit elevated, whether it's on books or boards, and the other one can go flat on the table. And so now you have a little bit slight variation in height. You could do it more extreme, and you could do it here, for example, but let's just leave it at that. So wood bowls. So I have a lot of wood going on here. So my thought is I need kind of balance over there with some wood on that side and then metal on this side. So I have all these great wood bowls that I have and love. So I'm going to create, now that I have all this wood here, I'm going to take some wood over there. And I like the idea of having a little bit of an angle here. So then now, okay, I'm stuck and I need to find something to put back here. So there's so many things that you can use. You can take a wood bowl and kind of tilt it on its side to provide support, if you may. So kind of like that. And just angle it and it holds. Or you might want to put a piece of, you just have to kind of play around with it sometimes. It's not always perfect. Sorry, I'll get this right. Bear with me. See that these are the things we deal with. I don't know. I think to do that, to let it kind of fall into space, fall into itself, if you may, and have the champagne bottle come a little bit closer to hold it. Let's see how that looks. And then here you can have, let's say you're doing some breads kind of falling down and into it, if that makes sense. The angle seems off. I'm all about moving things 1 inch. It makes a difference. And having that support. Okay. So we have a lot of wood there, wood here now to kind of balance that out. And I want to put some metal on that side. So I could bring in one of these like my long pieces and have that, let's say, go here to create more balance with this, and it creates a little bit of a kind of like a rhythmical effect. I'm gonna put this away. Bring in more greens to balance that out, kind of create almost a barrier and like an outer wall, if you may, here. And I'll probably do the same on that side. So I'm gonna switch these up. I have two that have the little metal handles and two that don't. And I'll just, for symmetry, kind of put those together and put these together. So now we need to put in kind of all the little bowls and little jars for the little dips and such. I like clusters. I like clusters of 3, clusters of 4. So what I'll do is, again, the idea of having, if you have 3 of the same thing or 2 of the same thing, having one of them be at a different height. So one can go here, which is elevated by the wood, and one below it, and then one kind of tucked into the corner or in front of it. And that I might play around with depending on the food that I'm putting in. But for now, I think that feels, it kind of creates a little bit of a curve and a natural curve to that. You know, then I'll take 3 of these that are the same size. I like kind of clusters, like I said. So I'll do, you know, I'm gonna fill up this little area and set them up again. You know, it has the name on it, so we want that to show. You put them in front, you kind of create a little corner with these 3 that could be for 3 different vegetables.
We're not.
Are we good?
Do
Lisa?
you place all of the materials first and then add the food?
Yes, 100%.
The food is last.
The food is last. I'll do this the day before. If I'm doing a big event, I prefer to do this the day before. I lay everything out, and then I can kind of see what I'm missing. But of course, when I'm laying out the food, I may move something slightly. But in general, if I'm doing, let's say these weren't just greens, there were flowers, you know, depending on, you know, the scale of the event, I would definitely do this the day before. That's my preference.
Okay, and are your services available for hire?
Of course, this is what I do. I love that.
Excellent.
And Merhnaz, I have a question. So if you're doing hors d'oeuvres and like a beautiful cheese plate and crudités, and you want to put some dessert, would you put that all on the same table? How would you do it if you also want to add dessert?
So if you're having, I mean, you mean take the kind of appetizers off and put dessert?
Like how? Yeah. Do you only do appetizers, for example, or do you only? No, you do mix it all. Like you'll put dessert in there as well, or will you put it on another side of the table where you can have dessert?
You can. I mean, you could do kind of like, I mean, again, it really depends on the type of event that you're doing. But if it's kind of large scale, let's say you're hosting a huge Thanksgiving gathering, for example, you'll do this, and then, you know, you might kind of recreate for the dessert, or because you're not going to serve vegetables for dessert, you're going to have a lot of desserts. But if you're doing kind of like let's say you're doing a wine and cheese night where you're doing small kind of bite-sized food, and then you have an area where you're going to do, like, let's say chocolate. What I do like, and I'm going to show you, is kind of cake platters, such as this. You know, this one is simple. Again, you could do just fill this up with chocolates. Let's say you have 3, 4, 5 different types of chocolates. you could do here little chocolates. And then this side can be desserts or sweets versus that side is more savory. So you could mix if you're kind of serving everything all at once. You know, again, it depends on if it's like a grazing table. My whole thing is, if it is a grazing table, I just love to add height variation and dimension. You know, I don't like to look at something that's very flat and one-dimensional.
That's great. Makes sense. Thank you.
So again, this might be bigger than a normal kind of, simple gathering. But, and I don't know if we want to, what time, I don't have no idea what time it is. Lisa, what time is it?
You have about 9 more minutes.
Oh, okay, so I could continue to kind of build this out, and I may look at this, for example, and to me, it feels like it needs something under it, just so not so much lifted, but also to separate, again, to separate the texture of this versus the texture of that. So again, different kind of wood boards and different kinds of, you could put a book under it, but I like these little round, I use them for pizza. So that, again, it balances it out, it separates the metal from the metal, and it balances out the wood. So to me, that it kind of creates a little bit of separation and kind of finishes it off. And you could build, I could keep going and going until this whole table is full. If you have different, you can do something like this on top of the board, which I have done. Again, if you have a huge board that you kind of use and only that alone, you can do this kind of concept on just a board this size. Let's say you do have a board that's like 18 inches by 30 inches. You could create just this portion with all this variation in height and kind of falling down the metal and the wood and the glass and the stone. So it doesn't have to be this huge. You can take a board this size and create this kind of vibe. And here, I would pull this here to create balance. Again, metal, metal, metal. All of these guys a little bit forward and just kind of squeeze this in here.
Merhnaz, what is the size of that large board, and where does one purchase one?
So this one, I think is about, what is it, 20 inches, 18 inches? I would say by 30. I bought this at a store in the Palisades a few years back. I feel like now so many people do boards and there's so much to find. Like I said, you can Google on Amazon, Wayfair. There's so many different sites that I shop on for accessories and such. So, there's vendors that carry. Etsy has a lot of wood boards. So it's a lot easier to gather all these things now. A few years ago, I envisioned having like huge boards and it was really hard to find. And I think when I got this 2-3 years ago, or yeah, probably 3 years ago now, it was a lot harder to find. Again, now I feel like it's easier to find.
Merhnaz, it's Jackie. I have a question.
Yes.
So the champagne and the wine, if you were entertaining, would those bottles be open?
So I have opened them in the past, but I probably, buy extra just so they look good and they stay closed.
So it's more, right now you're using it more as an accessory.
Yeah, I'm using more of an accessory effect, but for example, the event that I did right before shutdown for body traffic was, I think we took the bottles off the table and we drank from them. So yeah, I probably would use them.
Okay.
Do you use candles? And if so, do you use them during daytime luncheon?
Sorry, I'm gonna move this. Guys, sorry. Bear with me. So I can kind of be closer and hear you. I'm sorry.
Yes.
What's the question?
Candles, do you use them? And is it my internet that's bad? It might be my internet. Candles, do you use them ever? And if so, could you use them even during a luncheon event setup?
So to answer your question, candles, yes, I love. During a luncheon, you can, I mean, I think it depends on the scale of the event and whether or not it's kind of appropriate. I think if you're doing a brunch for a family, I wouldn't necessarily use candles. But certainly if it's a nighttime event and you're dimming the lights, I have all the lights on right now kind of because I want to make sure that everything is seen. But yes, absolutely. And I actually, I mean, I could pull some photos if you wanted and I can show you, but what I would do is drop in the candles, kind of how I have clusters for the food. I would do the same thing for candles. I kind of work them into the food, if you may.
Anybody want to unmute themselves and ask a question?
So now that we're entertaining outdoors, what are some of the challenges to set up? I know if you entertain during the day, it's, it's those damn bugs. How do you avoid them?
How do I avoid bugs?
Do you have any clever way of covering the food?
Sadly, I'm not a technician. I don't know how to avoid bugs other than bug spray. I've heard onions do wonders, but I don't want to see an onion on my table. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
You have a bug zapper.
Bug zapper. Just get drunk and ignore the bugs. No, I don't know. Honestly, I think it's tough. I think just the candles and the sprays and things like that probably would work. Definitely not something that I focus on, if that's fair.
I find that it's also challenging to carry all the dishes out and then bring them back in. So you try to kind of minimize the trips out for setting up. It's very different than to set up indoors.
For outdoors, you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a person who kind of just makes things happen. And anybody who knows me, just nothing gets in my way. So whether it's indoors or outdoors, if it's 5 feet extra or 8 feet extra, I just do it. So I don't know. It's kind of, you just kind of do what you have to do, I think. That's just my belief in life. That's a hard question again to answer. Sorry. Use big trays to carry everything, consolidate, make it easier for yourself.
Hey, do we have any final questions before we wrap the night?
Mommy, you're the greatest of all time.
Oh my God, Michael! Yes. Can I turn this around? Sorry, can I take this off? And I would love to see what I'm looking at because I'm kind of not looking at anything. Hold on, guys, 1 second. Sorry, Jakey, I exposed you. Sorry, give me 1 second. How do I turn this around? Hi.
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, baby.
Hi. Hi, you're amazing. Yes.
Love you.
Thank you, Merhnaz. Thank you.
Thank you. This is great.
Thank you, Merhnaz. That was amazing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks so
Merhnaz.
much.
So fun.
Darling,
cool.
go to sleep.
Happy
Thank you
Hanukkah,
so
everybody.
much.
Good
Happy
class.
Hanukkah, everyone.
It was awesome.
See you guys
Thank
next
you.
month. Look
Hanukkah.
out.
Merhnaz,
Stay
you did
safe.
so good.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Stay tuned for the next event, which will be
Thanks,
in
Merhnaz.
January.
Thank you, ladies.
Wonderful.
Very
Thank
fun.
you.
Bye,
Good
everybody.
night.
Thank you all for joining. I mean, in all honesty, I've never taught what I do, like I said in the beginning. So I hope that I was able to kind of, that everything that I wanted to express came across the way that I wanted it to. I hope I was able to deliver because, like I said, some things are just in my head and I naturally do it. But I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And Thank you for coming.
Super fun. Great
Great.
ideas. I have to get a board. Putting it on my Hanukkah list. Yes.
Thank you,
Janet,
Merhnaz.
get yourself a board.
I know that I'm going to get myself one. So where do you think, I actually wrote to you during to say, where do I get one? But
Let's
do you,
talk.
okay. All
I'll
right.
order you one. Don't worry.
Okay.
Participant
School,
tonight.
school boutiques, Janet.
Where?
School boutiques.
School
That's where I got
boutiques?
mine. Yep.
Okay. Because I have a lot of other stuff, but I don't have a wood board. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know who used to always bring the boards to the holiday boutique. I just can't put her name to the face.
You know, Abby Goldman's son
Dahlia.
actually makes them. If you ask Abby's son, he's making them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he still does, but he did for the Hanukkah boutique.
Yeah,
I know
Javid.
Dahlia had a vendor that she connected with for the holiday boutique, but board, like I said before, honestly, boards were so hard to come by, like good boards, and now they're everywhere. I know
They
that's,
are.
yeah, if you just kind of
Okay.
look for them, Target has, Amazon, they all have good boards.
Home goods.
Okay. All right.
Betty. I'm happy to
Thank you.
put the resources for boards and mail it to everybody in the next week.
Merhnaz,
Okay.
did you want
Very-
to say something about the event happening on January 24th?
Like it.
I like how Jason had it in the chat. That was you, Alexandra, right?
Merhnaz is on mute. I see her talking, but.
I keep getting muted for some reason. So, you know, thank you, Alexandra. I just want to remind everybody, you know, in addition to everything tonight and just community building and all of us coming together tonight, which feels really, really great. I think we have a beautiful community. Jackie Singer and I are co-chairing our annual event, which this year has to be virtual, but it's going to be fabulous. And I just please ask you to sign up. It's going to be amazing. Sorry. Hold on one second. Charlotte disrupted my. Okay. Charlotte, my love, just listen. Okay, hold on. Come here. Say, come to our annual event. I really want everyone to come to our annual event. Look it up on our main page of